Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at this heavily modified latest generation for the Jeep Gladiator. This is a Sport S. As you can tell, it has right around $20,000 worth of upgrades from a company called SoFlo. Huge shout out to Caroline Auto Direct for providing this Jeep for me today. Check out their website. They're always getting in some awesome, pretty much brand new inventory. That link is down in the description. So this Jeep behind me is finished off in bright white, and we'll go over the MSRP once we go over all the specs and features, as well as going over the 20 grand worth of options for this specific model. So underneath the hood for this Gladiator, this has the 3-liter Eco Diesel V6 paired to the 6-speed automatic transmission. It pumps out 260 horsepower, 442 pound-feet of torque. That power is primarily sent to the rear wheels. However, this Gladiator does have the 4-wheel drive system. It weighs in right around 4,600 pounds. 0 to 60 for the Eco Diesel is just over 7 seconds, with a top speed right around 100 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 22 gallons, so you'll expect to see around 17 miles per gallon in the city, 22 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 137.3 inches. Its overall length is 218. It has a width of 73.8, a height of 74.1. Its stock ground clearance comes in just over 11 inches, and it also has an approach angle of 45 degrees, a breakover angle of 21 degrees, and a departure angle of 26 degrees. Now, of course, all of those specs that I just went over are for a stock Gladiator. So with the 4-inch lift kit and these massive 38-inch tires, approach, departure, breakover, even ground clearance is much higher. So this is definitely a very capable off-roading focused Jeep Gladiator. So let's work our way to the exterior styling now, where a lot of these are aftermarket parts, as you will see. So up front, we have a massive grille. It's powder coated in black with some cutouts in the grille. You can see the built-in winch, tow hooks on both sides. There's even some fog lights, I will call them. And then we still have the LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals, which I believe are aftermarket, of course. And this still retains turn signals. They are very tiny on the front corner of the fender flares. So I'm sure you would see those at night a little bit better than during the day. But also up front, you can just get a look for the presence that this has coming down the road. It also has a hood scoop, and then you can see the traditional spots right here where the windshield can actually rest. If you choose to fold the windshield down, you can on the Jeep Gladiator, which is really nice to see, so that way you don't scratch up any of the paint. And then last up, you will see the structure holding the light bar that runs right across the upper section of the windshield. Definitely a beefy look. And you can see just how wide these tires are. They are 38 by 15.5, wrapping a 20-inch wheel. I'm not sure how wide the wheel is. Could be right around 11 inches wide or so, maybe even wider than that. But they are finished off in black. Really cool design to them. You can see the inner fender liners too. Everything is powder coated to give it a great look. There's also some indentions just behind that. We have that badge for the company that did all these upgrades. And then for the traditional Jeep Gladiator, this has the 3-piece hardtop roof, which is very easy to take on and off, along with the doors, which of course are removable. Now this also has a set of the power side steps, so that way it makes it much easier to enter and exit. As far as the lift kit goes for this truck, this has a 4-inch lift with all the Fox shocks and suspension components. And as you can tell, it has a high clearance exhaust tucked up nicely just underneath the side of the bed there. These fender flares are massive, and then the tires even poke out farther than them. Very cool to see that. Now in the rear, this has the traditional backup camera. The sensors have also been retained, it looks like, in the steel part of the bumper, and then there's some body colored sections on both sides of that. Now before we make our way to the interior, this does have remote start, so we can lock it, double tap this button, and you can hear that diesel come to life. Perfect option for the diesel, which is nice. Now let's move on to the cargo space. We have the third brake light just above this release handle, and it has the soft opening tailgate where you can see you have some space to throw in items in the back. There's tie-down hooks, even some cargo lights too. And you can see a tread pattern on both sides, maybe to put dirt bikes, bicycles. Kind of neat to see those indentions. It is a very light tailgate too, so that is easy to close. So with all of the exterior modifications wrapped up, let's take a look at this beautiful customized interior. So once we open the door, you will see the door panel is the same as a traditional Gladiator. We have the storage net in the lower section, grab handle to remove the door, and then it is a pretty simple and plain design just because you can't take the doors off, so you don't have a lot going on. But look at this two-tone interior, pretty much red with the white accents to match the exterior. I think it's a cool design. You can see all the stitching running throughout it. And then to make our way into the back, you have grab handles that sidestep too. So at 5'10", I can jump up into this truck where I have plenty of space. You will see the storage pockets, 2 air vents, window controls, and then the cup holders are located down below. And as far as headroom goes, I have maybe 5 inches above my head. You can be taller than me and still be comfortable. That's what I like about the hardtops in the Jeep Gladiator. So it's very, very roomy. You can also see the full roll bar running right through the middle with the speakers on both sides. Dome lights are right in the middle. And then for the back glass, we have the manual adjusting slider part that you can open and close. And a lot of visibility. It's very easy to see. And then this also has storage space underneath the seat. So if I just lift this up, you will see a little bit of storage there along with the winch remote, and it goes all the way to the opposite side. So it's nice that that is tucked away there and you can easily close the seat from there. As we work our way up front, you can lock the Jeep by pushing on that body colored section there. And then for the door panel, just like the rear, however, this does have lock and unlock, and then the side mirror adjustments are also added to the door. A lot more storage, and then the grab handle where you can take these off. Now to do that, I'm not doing that today, but we have the electronics, so you have to remove that kick plate to take that out, and then you have the bolts, of course, that you have to remove in order to disconnect that door. Now, of course, the front seats are finished off the same, even the armrest, which is a nice touch. These are manual adjusting seats, so we have recline, incline, you can adjust the height and then slide it forwards and backwards. And then with that same grab handle, we can make our way to these front seats where we have the steering wheel finished off in leather, no customization there. On this left side, we have all these controls for the gauge cluster, as well as Bluetooth and voice commands. And then on this right side is cruise control. So let's fire this Gladiator back up with my foot on the brake. That button is over on the right side. We can bring this to life. And you will see on the left side, there's the tach along with the 4-wheel drive selector. On the right side is the miles per hour. And right in the middle, there is some fixed information like the engine temperature as well as the fuel gauge. And then currently you can see miles per hour right in the middle. So if I scroll down now, there's vehicle information where you can go through a lot of vitals like TPMS and then all of these various temperatures just to keep an eye on everything, which is really nice to have. Now there's also the off-road page where you can look at your pitch and your roll. And then we can scroll down to fuel economy. With these 38-inch tires, you really don't need to look at that page at all. There's trip information. There's also the engine start stop. Audio, when you have that pulled up, you can look at any messages. And then under screen setup, you can actually change what you would like to see in the upper left and the upper right. So currently you can see the compass as well as the outside temperature, and you can choose to see what you would like even in the center there, just depending on what is most important to you. And then we are back to the speedometer. So it's a lot of information, very nice to have. Now on this left side, you will see all the headlight adjustments along with the fog light adjustments, dimmer switches for the gauges. There's one speaker in each corner, and then right in the middle, you'll notice a little bit of storage space where you can even mount some accessories. So there's currently a phone holder right there. Now right in the middle, this is the largest screen that you can get. This is the 8.4-inch touchscreen system. And you will notice in the lower section, these are all of the current presets that were set up by the previous owner. You can actually adjust these and change these depending on what you would like to see. So it's nice to be able to have that and go through all this information. If we go back to the apps here, this is where you can look at a little bit more info, where you can drag and drop these to the bottom just depending on what you would like to use. And of course, when you have your phone paired, you can monitor all of that as well. Now just underneath that, you will see more physical buttons for the climate adjustments. So fan speed is right in the middle, there's temperature dials on both sides, power and volume for the radio as well as tuning, and then a few other recircs are located around that, even where you would like the air to go. Underneath that, you can mute the audio. This has the engine start stop like I mentioned earlier. There's also traction control and the downhill assist control. You do have to be in four-wheel drive in order to activate this, and what this is also used for is basically cruise control for off-road. So that way you can actually shift using this to adjust your speed, and that way you don't have to monitor the gas pedal or the brake when you are going off-road. You can even shut that screen off if you would like to, which is nice to see. And then below that, we have all the window controls. So because the doors come off, even though there are some electronic options there, the window controls are right in the middle just to help with some of the electronics, so you can use those. Media is on this right side. This is how you can use Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, so it does have to have a wire connected. 12 volt on that one side. And then underneath that, these are all aftermarket switches for all the exterior lighting. Now this shifter on this left side is for the four-wheel drive system, so we're in 2 high right now. You can go all the way back into 4 low. And then for the normal shifter, if I put that into reverse, you will see that backup camera up here with the guidelines, which is very helpful. And then there's drive and then the manual setting. You can use this to shift while you're on road, and like I mentioned earlier, you can use that to adjust the speed while off-road. This has a manual parking brake along with 2 cup holders, an area where you could place your phone right in the middle. And then underneath the armrest, there are 2 storage bins. There's a smaller one up top, and then you have a lot more space with an auxiliary underneath that. And then over on the glove box side, you will see the grab handle where there's also a tray mounted in this one. So that way no items will fall through. You have a little bit more storage to place some items, which is great. Glove box has a good amount of storage for all of the items that you need to place there. And then as far as this hardtop goes, I'm not taking it off in today's video. I will have some other videos linked if you want to see that process, but all you have to do is remove all of these clips. You can see the 4 over on that passenger side. You do have to remove the driver's side first, then you can remove the passenger one, and from there you can remove the whole back section as needed. So it's a very easy process to do, and then you can see we have a lot of visibility. As we set off now behind the wheel for this Jeep Gladiator, the Sport S has a starting MSRP right around $42,000. And of course, there's different trim levels for the Gladiator. So depending on your budget, what you are looking to do with your Gladiator, you have a few different options. For this model here, as you've been able to tell, it is heavily modified. One thing that I'm not 100% sure on or not is if this has a re-gear. I would assume with the size of the tires, it has the speedometer recalibration, and it should be re-geared for the cost to do this. And with the Eco Diesel, we're up to speed, minor acceleration. And I used to own a Wrangler Sport S actually, so I'm very familiar with this. The largest tire that I ever put on any of my vehicles is a 35. So these 38's are something new to me, and we sit incredibly high in this. For these massive wheels and tires though, it seems to track very nicely. Having the solid front axle in the Wranglers and the Gladiators, there's the death wobble where the steering wheel will just start violently shaking like you're on the rumble strips on the side of the highway. Don't let that deter you from buying it. I never experienced that once in the Wrangler that I owned. And with these 38's having a little bit more extra weight up front, all these steering stabilizers and components like that, it's riding super solid right now. I'm impressed with its ride, because when you go larger tires, sometimes that obviously affects certain things and components, but it's riding very nicely. With all the modifications too on this vehicle, the price is not all that bad considering what you are getting for a vehicle that is pretty much brand new. All right, let's give it a little bit more gas here. Wow. The Eco Diesel was the best choice for lifting a vehicle like this with over 400 pound-feet of torque. You really don't have to worry about this being underpowered, adding the extra weight for these wheels and tires. But driving the Gladiator in general, I've been able to drive a few. I had a Wrangler like I mentioned, it's a cool vehicle. If you're looking for a pickup truck where you can take the doors off, this is pretty much the only option. You can obviously do that with whatever vehicle you want, but this is the easiest of any vehicle to take the doors off, to be able to take the roof off and experience that open top experience while you're behind the wheel of a truck. So there's that Jeep life, which I understand. It's very cool. As far as wind noise goes, road noise, even with these 38-inch tires, it's what I would expect from a Jeep. There's nothing positive or negative to say about it. They're a little bit more windy than a traditional SUV, but it's part of the experience. And we'll give it another acceleration with ease. We're up to the speed limit. Very impressive. Not even half throttle, not even quarter throttle. This has a lot more potential to it with the engine choice for this model. But here's what it looks like to drive around in a very modified and lifted Gladiator. We sit so high up in this, and for a price right around $40,000, with this one being on the used market, of course, with all the modifications, it's closer to the $50,000 mark. But you are getting a very well-built Gladiator where you can just hop in it and go. You don't have to worry about doing all these parts. You can just buy it as is, which is very, very cool. Some people just want to buy it like it is and go from there. But sitting behind this, just like any other Gladiator, minus some of the customization there. And it's a little bumpy. You know, solid front axle is going to absorb bumps differently than the independent front suspension setups, but with how this is set up, the articulation that you will be able to get with that solid front axle, I hope whoever buys this tests it out and takes it off the pavement, because this is a very capable truck as it sits. I love the fact too that the backseat room is fairly roomy for a mid-sized truck like this. It offers plenty of space and storage, so this would make for a great daily driver. Now, saying daily driver and MPG, not really going to go in the same sentence for this style of vehicle. But if you were buying something like this, you're not even, MPG's not even on your radar. When I lift my vehicles and throw on larger tires, it is what it is, because I want to enjoy the truck and taking it off-road and doing modifications like that. So if you're worried about the MPG, probably not the best buy. And so we'll do another mild acceleration to end today's video. So once again, a huge shout out and thank you to Carolina Auto Direct for providing this truck for me today. Check out their website. That link is down in the description. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.